Hey you guys, I'm back with another review featuring Dark Side of the Ring and also talking about A&E's Wrestling Legends documentary that they've been airing for the past few weeks that I have not been watching. Um, this week, both shows featured topic was about the Ultimate Warrior. I have to say, I thought I was going to do two separate videos because of WWE's like being super biased, but actually both of them were pretty similar. As far as the Ultimate Warriors, I don't know how people perceived him, like people in the locker room or whatnot. That was pretty much the same, and that was like the big focal point of the episode was, you know, how he was, I guess, struggling to keep Jim from Warrior, and they were like basically the same, like they couldn't be separated. And although both shows say that, the A&E documentary actually within like 2 or 3 minutes, someone mentions how he was able to separate himself um, from his character. And then the rest of it was basically about how he actually couldn't do that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The biggest differences with both of these episodes were that the A&E documentary focused somewhat on his childhood. His mother was there. A lot of people who were involved in his early life was there, versus Dark Side of the Ring, which is pretty much wrestlers, his ex-wife, who was not in the A&E special. Um, Dana actually said that someone asked her something about if she was going to watch the Dark Side of the Ring episode featuring her husband, and she said something about it being smut and filthy. So, she already had her opinions on it. But I think if she watches it, she'll pretty much see that um, they basically covered the same thing in kind of the same way. Just that maybe there might be some kind of animosity because his ex wife is part of it. I'm pretty sure they asked her to be part of it, versus WWE not asking his ex wife to be part of it. I'm pretty sure they did not ask her. Um, but that was like the main difference. Sherry, his ex wife, didn't really have anything bad to say about him. She spoke up the truth about his infidelity and things like that, and but she didn't say anything bad. Even up until the last time she said she saw him, they were actually friends and decided mutually to not see each other as friends because they both were in a happy spot in their lives and they wanted to move on, and to keep his wife from being jealous and her husband from being jealous, they decided mutually not to pursue a friendship or whatever. And she didn't really say anything bad about him, which I kind of thought maybe she would, but she didn't. They were so similar where it's like I couldn't do two videos talking about the very same thing. But I realized that even up until the point of the Hall of Fame, Jake the Snake was still feeling some type of way about how he got fired and costing him his title run. He didn't get the title from Warrior because he got fired. Basically, he wrote a letter to Vince McMahon saying that he felt like he should be basically at a Hulk Hogan level, and Hulk Hogan at the time was damn near God, and he felt like he should be the same level as far as money goes, as far as merchandise and everything that Hulk Hogan wanted. He wanted Vince McMahon to match it. And what was different, I noticed in the Dark Side of the Ring, they kind of like Jim Cornette, Jim Ross. They both definitely say that he wasn't a good wrestler. Even Jake mentioned how he didn't care for the business. It was pretty much about the money for him and whatever to boost his ego. It wasn't really how most guys in locker room who really cared about wrestling. Uh, that wasn't the case for him. He had that look, that physique, especially that physique that Vince McMahon loves Okay, he had that look. Um, my opinion, he wasn't that great in the ring. That's just my opinion, but he was super entertaining. I love his promos. Like, he's batshit crazy, and that is cool to me. But as far as a wrestler, like ranking him in the ring, he's nowhere near like the top. He's not. Like for me, it's like a whole package, and usually what matters is the actual technique in the ring. And I honestly feel like um, he wasn't great to me, but he had everything else that fans love. They loved him. He was marketable. He was someone that you can put in the front because he had that look. He had the right people. The circumstances around him was right, basically. So him feuding with Hulk Hogan was uh, um the best thing that could have happened to him, because had it been with someone else, it just wouldn't have played out the same way. Like, if you once you beat Hulk Hogan, you're the top guy, and that's another thing that boosts his ego a lot. And he felt like, because of that, he needed more from the company. The one thing I did not like about the A&E documentary was they kept pushing this shit about, because his father left him, he needed a father figure, he needed a male role model. Like, I didn't feel like that was necessarily the case. Like, it just seemed like they just kept mentioning that every few minutes. Like, they really wanted to push that was the reason why he sort of went over the edge or whatnot. I don't believe that. Not necessarily because I can relate to not having a father in my life, but I just felt like it was more than that. The opportunities that he got set him up to be what he was. It had not. I don't think it had anything to do with that. And I mean, I'm pretty sure he had his feelings about his dad not, walking out on them, but I don't think that's what the big focal point was. Maybe he did see Ben's like some kind of I don't know, father figure or whatever. I can't say if he did or he did not, but I felt like that type of that that thing they kept saying over and over about the father and all that stuff. I felt like that wasn't even um, necessary, really. I think they were like trying to feed that to people, but it didn't really work with me. I honestly felt like it was just about an ego thing. He was he grew up insecure, he grew up shy, he was a scrawny kid. He starts going to the gym and he likes the attention of being a big dude. And he's juicing and he's doing all these things to make him what he wasn't, like in high school or whatnot, or growing up, where now he's the big dude. Now he's the one who's in front, versus these bullies or what, people who couldn't give a shit about him. Now he's the big guy. Now he looks like the one you want to be with. Now he's a cool cat. They was talking about how he went to his high school reunion and he was like, anybody who didn't fuck with him, don't sit at this table. You know what I mean? And it's just that persona of, hey, the tables are turned type of situation, which is what I saw. Um, as far as the documentary goes, I felt like it had nothing to really do about the dad. Once money came into play, because he really wasn't making money from bodybuilding, he saw what he was making doing wrestling, and it had nothing to do with being a fan, or if he really was like had his heart and soul into being a wrestler. Because not everybody who comes into business is actually how can I say it, that is their dream to be a wrestler or whatnot. They never really mentioned that that's what it was. Basically, both shows mention how they got attention from Memphis Wrestling or whatnot after posting some kind of ad with their physique. There was like with 4 or 5 other people on this poster, and they saw them and they got their attention because they were huge dudes. Him and Steve Borden, which is Sting. So they had that look that they were looking for, and it's like that with wrestling. They see somebody who has a look, they pick you up, try to train you, try to make the best out of you, and most often it fails, you know. So I guess that was one of those situations. So if he really wasn't in wrestling heart and soul like how a lot of these cats are, I could totally believe that, because a lot of people aren't in it because, you know, that was their dream since it was a kid. So for him, he was able to use his looks to win people over, I guess. But I felt like, as far as him being in the ring, as far as his technique in the ring, it was lackluster to me. Okay, so don't kill me over this, but that's how I honestly felt. And other people felt the same way too. You know, so I mean, in a way, he's like one of the greatest because of everything else. And some people aren't really paying attention to if he was the greatest wrestler or not. He just had a whole package about him minus a few things, so that's good enough, I guess. Biggest differences were just really the wives. And oh yeah, both of them featured like videos of him talking in the past and whatnot about certain things. The A&E documentary actually talked about the steroids. I don't remember hearing that on the Dark Side of the Ring episode, but pretty much the same. I don't think any of them actually made him look bad. They just said exactly what we've heard. Actually, the worst of it was that the self destruction DVD, which they had no business doing in the first place, which is kind of funny to me because Dana obviously feels some type of way of Dark Side of the Ring airing something about the Ultimate Warrior versus WWE, who's had even worse things to say about her husband. It's like she buried the hatchet, so it's cool as long as no one else is talking about her husband. And she should have honestly give it a chance, even if she wasn't part of it. At least watched it first before she started giving her opinions on it, because I don't think they did anything to if it was me, I probably wouldn't even be upset about anything that they said. She knew exactly who her husband was. Matter of fact, some of the worst things that was said was him himself. That time where he was just like in a really dark place, and was going to different colleges and different places, giving public speeches, talking about his conservative views. And a lot of conservative views would have things against homosexuals, racist things and things like that. So he said a lot of things that got people really upset, things that were even featured in the news, things where people didn't want him speaking because his views were offending people. And that makes sense. Why be in a crowd talking about people who's actually in the crowd? You don't really know them personally, but you're saying things that are offending the people that you're talking to. If anything, people wanted to see the warrior that they saw back in the 90s, where he was kind of inspirational, motivational. They probably thought that that's what they was going to get out of these speeches. But I guess during this time, was there something about publicity or something? Maybe. But some people are not down with these type of views, and that hurt him in the long run. And that was another reason to further keep him away from being in the Hall of Fame, because year after year, people was like, why isn't the Ultimate Warrior being inducted this year? He's had a major impact in wrestling, period, which is true. He made a huge impact in wrestling without even being there for that long, maybe like what, 5-6 years or so. And he was at the top. He was beating Hulk Hogan. Like that was crazy. And he made a success story, but unfortunately he couldn't keep it that way. He made some choices that made him look bad. They even mentioned with the steroids about like Hulk Hogan being part of that, and obviously Ultimate Warrior. Everybody knows about all that stuff. During this time, people didn't make a big deal about steroid use until the government did get involved and whatnot. So, as far as sports is concerned, steroids is not something that I don't want to say people aren't doing, but if you're in part of WWE, you're definitely not doing it because you don't want to ruin your chances. And if they are, and they're like the top guys, I can see Vince McMahon trying to keep it hush hush, to keep, his guys around or whatnot. And I know for a fact that he has done that. But, there was always some kind of situation between Vince and Warrior, even though at some point they were really close. And I think that DVD really um, probably crushed him. Probably crushed him because his wife says she never saw it, but at some point he did see it, and you know it broke his heart to see what people had to say about him. Sure, it might have been true, but how do you profit off of being so petty and messy about someone who worked for you and drew millions of dollars for you, and now you selling this DVD for what, 20-25 bucks just to make somebody look stupid? Like, it was really uncalled for. Obviously, they apologized about it, dropped it, and he was inducted, what, WrestleMania 30, was it? I can't remember, but back in 2014 he was inducted. I was really, really surprised. I was actually excited. My grandparents were excited. They grew up watching wrestling. When they came to America, wrestling was the only thing they could actually watch without having to understand English. So they enjoyed The Ultimate Warrior a lot. And he got inducted. What, Saturday night they did a Hall of Fame. WrestleMania, they have everybody come during the middle of the show while they, congratulate the inductees and whatnot. Then Monday Night Raw, he came out and gave a speech. Like, this is one of the most, like, bizarre, crazy moments that I could possibly remember as far as wrestling goes. He talks about, like, something about, he kind of foreshadowed his own death in a way in his own speech. Um, Watching it back, I kind of do see that he didn't seem to be so well. He seemed to be a little out of it or whatever. But at the time, it just seemed like he's so excited that he can't really contain himself or whatnot. But he kind of just basically foreshadowed his own death. And then the next day, he dies. He has a heart attack. I couldn't believe it. Shocked. Everybody was shocked. Like, it just seemed like, oh my God, how could that possibly happen? Just hearing what he said the night before. It's literally what he said that made it more shocking that even happened. And to me, um, it was heartbroken. Even hearing that all over again kind of brought chills to me because the way it happened was just like, wow. It almost seemed like he was waiting to be validated for everything that he's done in his career to be at peace and to just go, and that's all he was waiting for. And he got that, and he passed. And it just, wow. I mean, had it not even happened, you know, it's almost as if he was just waiting for that moment so he could just go in peace. And, rest in peace, Warrior. Like, I could never forget that day, finding out that he died. Like, it was truly heartbreaking. Both shows actually, I don't want to say they were being, the A&E special was being biased, because I didn't really feel it like that. Um, but it's a longer episode than Dark Side of the Ring, so you're just gonna get a little bit more information as far as his childhood go, whatever. But pretty much everybody says the same thing about him, and he obviously had his demons, and they got the best of him, and I guess he felt some type of redemption. By the time of his end of his life, he felt better that he could apologize. He felt better that he could be in front of fans and be cheered one more time, not even knowing it. And, I think that just probably made things feel a little bit better, maybe to his family and some fans, that he was able to get something out of this at the very end. So if you really want to check these out, I would recommend it. Nothing really new in any of these, but yeah, you got an hour, 2 hours to kill. You'll probably want to watch this. Thanks for watching my review.